Hello, I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. My name is Jay Bird. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Petit Auto Wash Equipment, and I'm going to get things started. We've got two other speakers also today, and we'll introduce them as we roll along here. But most importantly, I wanted to thank everybody for spending a little time with us today. So when we're looking at site selection, be thinking, what are your business goals? Are you looking for an investment? Are you a current car wash owner looking to expand? Are you a first-time car wash owner? What do you define success in your search? So those are all questions that you want to know, think about as we proceed here this afternoon. The industry is growing smarter. This is from Professional Car Wash and Detail, I believe in November. But operators have multiple paths to success now, and this is the new normal. And growing smarter, and we'll talk more about that, is very promising for 2026. So business goals. As you look at your business goals, there's plenty to unpack in this whole site selection area. But today we're just going to hit an overview. We're going to guide you to some next steps, and then we're going to share with you some of our knowledge that we've learned over the years between our team here at Petit. So of course we're not the overall experts, but we can tell you some good things going on. And first we want to advise you to consult with the true experts of your CPA, your distributor, engineers, architects, and even professional feasibility professionals. So a few items, just so you know, we're not going to cover today, is banking options, leased versus owned sites, building design, and creation of a business plan. So just so you're aware of that. What kind of wash are you building? We in today's world, you can go the in-bay route, you can go the tunnel route, and you can go the self-serve car wash, or you can do a mixture of. And so all three of us today will cover some points on there. So with your in-bay equipment, your options are to have friction, a hybrid of both friction and touch-free, and just purely touch-free. And in the recent survey from Auto Laundry News, December 2025, they're showing where 65% are touch-free right now. So the touch-free market on the in-bays is seem to be trending. One reason in-bay is very good is because of labor challenges. Labor remains a pain point, and finding, training, and retaining staff is an issue. And that's where an in-bay definitely has a lot less labor. So here's another chart from Auto Laundry News from December 2025. And as you can see, it's growing of newer car wash independents to where it rose to 14% in 2025. And site ownership of owning one site has grown to 70% in the survey. And so there's still a lot of experienced car wash people out there, but the newer car wash people with just one site is a growing trend also. Tunnel equipment is something that is also friction, hybrid, or touch-free. Um, for a long time, that all touch-free was very popular. That's gone away, and we're hearing rumblings of some more of those that are looking to be built in 2026. The hybrid is something new to where, the customer can pick either using both or going strictly touch-free. and they've got the choice there. So there's a lot of choices in equipment, a lot of choices in what type of car wash. And then, of course, with tunnel equipment, those are lofty goals. It's more expensive than an in-bay. You can build as a regional power, and you can compete with some of the larger players in the industry. So there's plenty of advantages there with tunnel equipment also. Building types to consider. We're seeing some prefab building that's on the uptick to where things are prepped at the site and then a building is literally dropped right on top. Um, the traditional brick and mortar is always the most popular, and we're seeing a little bit more economical. We're using more of the metal buildings, metal roofs, kind of the pole barn. Still does a very nice look at some areas too. Or you could be an existing car wash looking to reload, and this is another good webinar for reloads too. One thing we want to point out is it's really good to pick your distributor's brain. Um, that distributor, typically knows locations, knows who is successful in the area, knows that general area to where, also, is there any pitfalls there? Is there any things that, so you really want to pick their brain, and knows the industry in and out. So little shout out to the Petit authorized service providers is what we call them, but definitely go to your distributor. They can provide a lot of information and ask a lot of questions is the best way. Some of the area considerations is, in this recent survey, the majority, 1/3 of all car washes have at least two competitors in the area. And if you look at 0 and 1, just 14%, but then 3, 4, and 5, and more than 5. So don't always let that be a drawback if there's other car washes in the area, but that's just a consideration for you to look at. And as in any business, make sure you know your numbers going into it, know your numbers as it's operating. That's a real big factor in any business, but especially with the car wash business, you want to know all your numbers inside and out and make sure things don't get away from you. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeremy Chapman now. He is one of our sales specialists here at Petit, and he's going to continue to cover on some things. So Jeremy, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jay. And thanks to all of you for participating and being here with us today. Appreciate it. So as you're evaluating and looking at different sites and what you want to do and what your plans are, the financial considerations that Jay's gone over, then gets into narrowing down which business model do you want to pursue and take on is a good fit for you. We talked about, there's obviously the initial, the main three of the tunnels, the in-bay, self-serve. We've seen some combinations where there's a tunnel and an in-bay together, in-bays and self-serves together. Now, I've only seen renderings of a tunnel, in-bay, and self-serve. I've never seen one in real life, but I'm sure they exist. But across any of those models, you're going to have some things you'll want to consider in conjunction consideration with this initial part that Jay went over of, what kind of revenue scales are you looking that you want to work with or try to achieve? What kind of margins do you feel are going to be needed for your goals and what you're trying to accomplish there? And within any of these, utility requirements can sometimes be a big factor on, what will the area that you're looking to build these at or sites you're considering, what will they allow and permit for, and what kind of zoning laws and things like that are allowed there for those areas. So those are some across the board on any of them that sometimes could give you a direction on which way you want to go. So we'll take a look at the tunnel. I'm going to look at in-bay and also self-serve, just as the features and also the challenges that can go with either one of those to help you narrow down which direction you feel will be a fit for you. So we look at the tunnel model, features, components. They're exciting about that is it definitely can handle, you know, speed and volume of moving a lot of cars through, which could be, opportunity to generate a lot of revenue. They support doing membership programs very well. They tend to work hand in hand with most of those business models that are there. They can tend to support a community engagement uh, really well in that you have staff that's there. People that are coming to that car wash are going to have some interaction. Some of them will have interactions with the staff that's there and feel like, hey, I'm going to see my car wash guy today. Um, there's the flexibility to be able to add on other services like an in-bay or something along those lines. From a challenge perspective of things that have to be considered, we look at nice to have your car wash guys there to go see, but as an owner, an operator, you have a lot of labor costs and labor challenges that can come along with that. So you have to staff, find people, make sure they're reliable, competent, and that show up. The entry costs to get in are typically much larger on a tunnel business model, and so that would be something you want to consider, of course. When you look at the maintenance, especially the costs, and then also the time that it takes in a more complex um, mechanism as far as washing the cars. There's gonna be a lot more there to consider and take time and thought. What you're going to want to commit yourself to from that perspective. There's obviously more exposure to potential claims. Most tunnels are usually set up as a friction model, and so you've got things touching vehicles that can create some potential exposure there. The model off definitely was going to take of the options a much larger piece of land just to handle one tunnel, and so that can sometimes limit what your options are just from the standpoint of being able to find a plot of land that's in an area that you want and big enough as well. And then because it is manned and staffed, there's the limit of not being able to be open 24/7. You do have a limited window of time during the day to service your clients as they're coming in. So in the inverse of that, and conversely, looking at in-bay models, they almost flip-flop as far as features and challenges. Features of the in-bay labor is much less. It's unattended. Your entry costs generally end up being lower, middle of the road there, depending on the model that you set up. Maintenance and cost and time on that certainly can be less. You just typically don't have as complicated of a system in there for one, and easier to get access to things and so forth. The claims are typically less and more and limited in comparison. You do have the function of being open 24/7. I can often do this on a smaller piece of property, and there's depending on what you want to do. Sometimes a more opportunity to do multi-sites or multi-bays on a site as opposed to having just one tunnel. This can be paired with a tunnel. And then I put a note here about the AADT needs, and that's the annual average daily traffic count. When you're looking and considering any site, you're looking at the traffic volumes. For an in-bay, I think from that Auto Laundry News survey they did recently, they found for 2025 that for the in-bays with best sites, their traffic count was 13,120. So that's a manageable traffic volume to find, gives you a lot of options to go to for that. Versus in the tunnel model, typically industry would consider you'd want to do like 2 times that type of traffic volume would be needed to support a tunnel well. So in this particular instance, that would be up to 26,000. At the very least, I think industry would feel like you need to be north of 20,000 as a traffic count for the tunnel to be viable and do well. From a challenge perspective, though, on the in-bays, speed, you don't have the same speed and volume capabilities that a tunnel would have. The membership programs are, that's a whole other conversation, but it had two schools of thought on that and how well that works in the in-bay space. But that aside, you do have a client base that now you have to manage payment and their interactions with an unattended pay station and that sort of thing. So there could be some challenges that come along there. You can get after hours, late night calls with problems at the bay from time to time. Might be a little more susceptible to theft. And you have automated pay stations taking money while unattended. And then, that ability to engage with the community when you have an unattended lot. There's just, I know some people are at theirs regularly, but generally speaking, if your model is to be unattended, if you want to get engaged with the community, there'll be some extra effort you need to put into that to get with them. And then self-serve, just wanted to touch on these. It just seem to feel like the self-serve standalones are starting to see as much of that come through, I guess I'll say, as far as interest in that. But we do see a lot of, and do talk with a lot of people that have self-serve currently, and they're looking to add an automated in-bay. And so it's worth talking about this model and what that could look like as a place to start. So, some features with self-serve, the location can be kind of flexible as far as finding a spot. Don't need a particularly large lot of the options here. You can do it on a fairly small piece. The building structure is fairly simple. The entry costs are pretty manageable, and they can handle some unique things like trailered equipment and that sort of thing that other mechanical tunnels wouldn't be able to do. On the flip side, for some challenges, having a good way to take their payment can sometimes be a bit of a challenge to deal with. The membership programs, again, trying to manage that could be a little bit of a challenge and difficult. There's bays that have to get cleaned up because you're getting some different types of things that come in there. And at the end of the day, it can end up, and some of the feedback I've heard is just it can be a lot of work to maintain a model like that for what ends up being, relatively speaking, lower revenue. A couple of other pieces of information that we gathered from that survey. Average monthly gross income per bay for self-service just under $1,600. So you consider about the amount of work you have to do to do that and how many bays it would make sense to do that model would be some things you want to consider. Conversely, you might want to notice the combination of a self-serve with an in-bay. They were reporting that 63% of the total revenue was from that model was coming from the in-bay. So almost doubles, it's like a 2/3 to 1/3 pairing there. And the in-bay can almost double the revenue that you get from the self-serve. All right. So, considering those different models, you just start to narrow that down and, hey, what's my business model to fit for me and what I'm looking to accomplish. Next part of this evaluating a site would be to look at a pro forma and consider, what can that site do? What kind of performance should I expect from that? And no matter what pro forma you use, there's many of them that are available out there. You get them from manufacturers, distributors. You can find them online. They typically boil down to using these three main factors, which is the traffic count, capture rate, in comparison then against what your average wash price is going to be per wash. So I want to just focus in on the traffic count because you can put a number in there, but it's the big factor that everyone looks at. But it's very important to look over what are the other contributing factors that go along with that number. And so you want to look at the traffic type, consider is it shoppers, residential, neighborhoods, or is it commuter? And so let's look at from a retail side of that traffic group. Look at your site location. Consider its proximity to retail and shopping spaces. One thing we're taking a look at and talking through, say a grocery store, being in proximity to a grocery store. Typical customer base that's going there, they're probably going to the grocery store once a week. In theory, every day you'd be seeing a different audience that's coming there one time a week that's in proximity to your car wash versus being in proximity to the restaurants and things that are also in that retail area. Typically those customers may be going to the restaurants multiple times within the week, and so they're in that area, they're seeing your car wash regularly, and it's on kind of front of mind and easy to get to because it's right in their day to day. In comparison to say commuter traffic, that the group of that kind of a traffic volume that you have going in front of the site location. They may not be in the purchasing mode, say if they're in the retail space, but they can be kind of that what we call a quote unquote Snickers bar purchase, which I coined from Dave. Give him a shout out. It's just when they're on their way to or from, it's kind of that impulse purchase of like, oh, hey, I do need to get that done. Wash my car quick, either on the way or to or from work. So that could be a contributing factor to what that traffic volume can really provide and do for you as far as the performance of a site. And then compare that now to, say, additional component here of what's the proximity of that location to residential homes. You want to take a look for a site area and a potential location and consider how many rooftops are surrounding that location. Are there new neighborhoods that are going to be coming in? What's the community look like around there? Are there local buildings for schools, libraries, churches, things like that that are close by? All these are things that you want to consider that give you a better understanding of the makeup of your traffic flow that's going by there, not just a number, but what are the components within that group that's there. And then some other factors to take a look at as far as just the logistics around your site. We'll take a look at, say, speed limit. Slower speeds make it easier for people to pull in and get off the traffic and also pull out. You want to look at the accessibility for that location. Is it easy for the ingress and egress? The street type that you have, is it a busy multi-lane road, or is it 2 lanes? The left turns that are easily to manage to either get in or exit. And then you consider the demographic component too of just what's surrounding you. So you look at population, how many people are there? What is the average household income? Are these families that are staying in the areas long term and seem to be, being contributors and members to a community, or is it more of a touristy, people in and out, maybe a college area, that sort of thing? And then consider the community, just general layout. Is it a lot of suburbs, dense city, is it township, maybe more rural? None of these have a set in stone what works necessarily, but there's things you want to consider in terms of the traffic flow that's coming by there, and what are the contributors and the makeup of that. So understanding the makeup of your traffic volume is really important. Help you consider and take a look at what kind of capture rate you should expect from that flow that's there against what the industry standards are. And again, I'm going to just reiterate, when you're looking at pro formas, there's quite a few options available out there that you just remember to check and validate the metrics that are in that pro forma. Some of those can be geared to paint, the rainbow and unicorns, as I call it, a picture perfect scenario. They don't always leave room for things that we've seen come up in the past, whether it's COVID, a big economic shift. Gosh, there's been tariff battles recently, the shoreman strike, things like that. And just make sure you cross-check and validate the sources that you'd use for any of your demographic reports or things of that nature as well. And last thing I'll say, just remember this: a pro forma is a calculator. It's not a crystal ball. So it's good for making educated projections, but it's just that, it's an educated projection. And in the midst of looking at all those numbers, don't forget the old saying of location, location, location. That can sometimes be more important than all the numbers that you look at.
Well, thank you very
Appreciate your
much.
time. I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Real quick before Scott jumps in here, I want to remind everybody, if they have any questions, feel free to type those in the chat, or you can raise your hand and then we'll call on you at the end. But when Scott's finished here, we will take some questions also. So with no further ado, we'll turn it over to Scott Robinson here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time again today. One quick little note, I'll get Jeremy up to see it soon, but anybody who ever is up around the Massachusetts area, Boston area, and wants to see a site that has self-serve tunnels and in-bays all on one site, John Shelby and Rojo Car Wash up there in Massachusetts has got an amazing site. Some of you might have
Nice.
seen that before, but If you haven't and you're ever up in the area for a trade show or something, go check out Rojo Wash with John Shelby. It's a great wash.
I'm
Um,
holding you to that, the invite and road trip, Scott. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I'll get you out of the office. So, just to kind of recap why we're doing this, so often myself, Tom, Jay, Jeremy, Dave, everybody's getting questions about, like the one that's in the Q&A right now, looking to get my first site. What kind of site should I get? So, this is just kind of a way for us to put this all together one more time so that when you are asking these questions, you might have a couple of them before you get on the phone with us and we can help out a little bit more. So, again, none of this is law, just kind of some things we've seen work and not work. Another thing is when we were reading that auto laundry and news survey, one of the reasons we did this time of year is that it said that a third of you are going to make a equipment purchase this year, and half of those people were going to be making an in-bay purchase. So as you're starting to look to make that purchase, maybe purchase a new location, this is some of those things that'll help you out. So as Jeremy said, location, location, location. We've all known it. Nobody has to tell you about it. We've all heard the numbers. We've been talking about the numbers. You've heard numbers from your banker. You've heard numbers from OEMs. You've heard numbers from distributors. Numbers, 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 numbers. But a good site is more than just the numbers. It's more than just gross income. It's more than just traffic count. Sometimes there are hidden factors that can really influence a successful site. So, what does a good site look like physically? So that's going to be a couple different options on whether you are, and I'll wait for our slide to change there. Thank you. So new site, we're going to be looking at, are we going to go with a new site where we're going to build something on an empty lot, or are we going to go with an existing site where you take an existing wash that's either running or not running and reload it? There's also some different options out there. We're not going to go too heavy into them, like Jay had said there, but leasing things. So you might see that gas station that's got that dungeon of a car wash that's been a paperweight in the corner for so long. Those sometimes are opportunities to get in at a very low long-term lease cost, invest in the equipment, and see a change there and maybe capture some of that traffic that's coming in for the C store. And then again, like I said, you might have all heard about all these different Rite Aids and Walgreens all being shutting down. We're starting to see some smart guys out there and gals take advantage of these existing properties, be refurbished into car washes. I think we're going to do one here locally that's a Walgreens being refurbished into a tunnel. So kind of be, the old traditional 1 acre lot on a corner of a busy road. There are some other options out there. So when we talk about new builds, obviously new builds, they cost a lot more, but with that cost becomes a lot of flexibility in layout and ease of use. So you usually have a lot more options for curb cutouts because they're already not there. You have a lot more options for layouts of the building, where a vacuum's going to go, where a pay station's going to go, where's signage going to go, how light am I going to brighten up this lot to make it comfortable for our wives, our daughters to come in there at 9 o'clock at night and utilize our services, utilize our solutions for keeping their car well maintained and clean. And then planning for the future on a new build is a lot easier because you can start to set some tanks in the ground for future reclaim systems. You can build a bay that isn't technically have a piece of equipment in it yet, but it's already insulated, plumbed, conduited for an expansion to an in bay or a mini tunnel or something like that. We see a lot of customers buy a piece of land, they have to make a large investment of it. So now they're on a budget for how they develop that land, and they'll build a 2 bay site like the one you're seeing on the screen now, but they'll only put 1 bay in there. So that helps them get back to what Jeremy was saying, validate the pro forma. Let's put one site in and see how it performs. Just not believe the numbers on the paper saying I'm going to be a millionaire from a double bay car wash. So you put the building in there, you do the investment for the future, but you only put one piece of equipment in at a time to limit your financial liability and get a good gauge on what is the customer's needs in that area and can you deliver on them with your car wash. Now we go to existing sites. I love existing sites. I've worked with so many customers at this point that have taken an old defunct wash or one that's poorly performing, made an investment, in the $300,000 to $400,000 range, and has really just turned around the wash. But also now all of a sudden he's looking to buy more wash. He's looking for the next wash that needs the golden touch. to turn it around as well. So some of the things that come with this existing sites, I'll get there. Existing sites, whether they're non-operational or mismanaged, a lot of perks with them. They're already zoned for car washing. They're already grandfathered in on any future litigation or any future rules and regulations that might come along. You may have heard some horror stories in the last couple of years about certain municipalities actually doing moratoriums on car washes. When you buy an existing car wash, you're protected from those things with those grandfathered in zonings. And then you also have legacy marketing, whether that car wash has been there for 10, 20, 30 years, the local area has already, they're predetermined, they're subconsciously seeing that's a car wash there. So you have that legacy marketing, but it's also a good thing as in it's usually a low bar. It's been underperforming, it's got old equipment, the cone's usually in front of the pay station. Now you come in there, you put a little signage about the new high performance updated equipment, throw some lights on there, throw some paint on that building, and all of a sudden you've got a whole new image, but still that reoccurring, this is a car wash, this is a car wash that they've grown up with their whole life. And then there's the utilities and auxiliary equipment. You already got usually a good sized water line there, good power feeds going on there. You might have underground tanks already there that can help out. Maybe there's an air compressor already that there. So when you get these existing sites, you sometimes can save on your budget by reusing some of the back room stuff that the customer doesn't see. And then you can use your budget on what the customer does see: paint, wallboard, new equipment. So whether you're getting an existing site or a new site, the biggest cost for you is going to be missing what you need before. So I mean, when I say that, I mean like the technical requirements. You don't want to have to dig up to put a bigger water line in. You don't want to have to call and have a bigger service, upgrade your MDP. So it's extremely important, whatever equipment you decide, whatever model you decide, you do a very thorough technical assessment of the site and of the possibilities of the site. What does water and sewer look like? What does water and sewer look like in the future? Is there a new water treatment facility coming on? Do you sense that the sewer costs are going to go through the roof and you might need to utilize reclaim services? Is the power large enough? You get an existing site where they might have, less power than the average two-bedroom ranch home. You might not have the ability to put any kind of equipment in there other than a self-serve without upgrading that. And then another one that's really been with a few of my customers were unexpected is like noise and light pollution and even water as well. If you're putting a wash in an area that already has a wash, or you're thinking about putting one in, and now all of a sudden there's a development here or a assisted living home here or whatever it is, there might be some significant noise and or light pollution restrictions that have to happen, meaning you can't run the dryers, you can't run light shows after certain times, can't have that decibel limit so far from the property line. So it does, kind of going back to what Jay and Jeremy was saying, it does really, really benefit you to do your due diligence with someone locally, someone that knows where has been going to the meetings of your local city and knows where the planning and comprehensive planning commission's going, knows the future of your town. They're going to help you say, hey, this looks good now, but in the future they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and that those could be limitations to a success. And then visibility. Visibility is huge, but visibility so often in our industry has been that corner of that really busy highway, byway kind of a situation. Visibility can also mean visibility from a shopping center, visibility from other businesses, visibility from a hospital, or visibility from a side road that is very commonly traveled. We have an example of a wash here that's technically on a third level road, not the main road, not the side road. It's a third level, but that second road that they travel on between a highway and a main road has a great visibility to the wash. So even though it's technically on that third level road, it has great visitation. Unique factors that you may or may not consider. You kind of heard Jeremy talk about it. Speed is a huge factor. If you are on a road that has a higher speed limit, highways or even byways, you need to have more visibility for longer. If it's a 25, 35 mile per hour road, you only need to be able to see it maybe right in front of your actual wash. Whereas it's a 45, 55 mile per hour road, now you need visibility from a half mile down the road through other people's property. So it's interesting to think about the visibility as it compares to the speed as well. And then you've heard Jay and Jeremy kind of talk about it, but don't be afraid of competition. Competition can be a good thing. You know, if you have competition on that commuter route that we were talking about, well, your competition is doing your marketing for you. Because as your customers driving by their wash, seeing all their marketing, all their signage, they're going to possibly come to your wash because it fits in. It's either in that retail area that they're going to, or it's near their home that they're going to as well. You guys might have seen on that Auto Laundry and News survey, um, 82% of people are going to go to a car wash within 8 miles of their home, 72 within 5 miles of home. So that customer that drives an hour commute and passes 6 washes on the highway and sees their signage, they're not going to those car washes, but those car washes marketing are helping you if you're on the other end of their commute as well. And then also it's an opportunity to offer something different. You know, we can't stop the big guys, the mod washes, the tidal waves, all these guys from coming in on our corners. But what we can do is offer something different. We can offer that touch free. We can offer the self-serve bays. We can offer a pet wash. We could offer a coffee shop, an ice maker on. We offer different things so that we can take away from them. Because again, like I said, those big guys, we can't compete with them on the 300 or 400 cars an hour, or even on price because they don't have to make the same margins that we do in order to stay in business. Other unique factors is vehicle maintenance requirements. So washes are no longer a luxury. They are required to keep your vehicle maintained. They're in owner's manuals as part of normal maintenance. You know, this isn't the days of your dad out there waxing his 69 Camaro. These are the days of, you know, RAV4s and Kia Tellurides out there doing miles between soccer games and schools and commutes for work. So car washes are now part of vehicle maintenances. That's why you're seeing so many dealerships have car washes. That's why you're seeing car washes in the actual manuals of the manufacturer. So, and then self-serve or not. So, you know, Jeremy kind of hit on it. You know, you're averaging 15, $1,600 a self-serve bay. You got to clean it up every single day because of the lawn clippings, the mud, whatever. Whereas in that same bay, that same amount of space on your lot, maybe a little bit more, could be earning you closer to $5,000 a month if it was an in bay. And we're actually seeing a lot of our customers take self-serve bays, add a little bit to them, and put another in bay in there. I brought up the pet washes, ice machines, coffee shops, little etc. Those things are all just getting different traffic onto your lot that isn't coming for a car wash, but they're coming for the other things, and then utilizing your car wash as well. And then know your customers. That is the most important thing. And I think you've heard Jay, Jeremy, and myself all hit it is if you don't know your customer and what their expectations and what is success to them, you can't deliver on what you want as success. So it is all about tempering and bringing those expectations in line. What are your expectations as a car wash owner, and what are the customer's expectations as car wash utilizers as well? So other than that, I think I'm going to shut up now and see if we have any questions that we can help out with.
So I've got 4 questions here for you, Scott. Um,
Awesome.
so Eric asks, looking at doing my first car wash, what is a good way to estimate my monthly income for underwriting?
Yeah. So, any manufacturer of equipment's going to be able to do a basic pro forma for me. We offer them here at Petit as well. And that's kind of what Jeremy was talking about with the average daily traffic count. So, different manufacturers, different car washes are going to have different capture rates. So if you take, let's say you have 15,000 cars, you might have different capture rates. Those capture rates will then go into your pricing of your wash, and you can kind of bring out what your yearly income would be and then just divide by 12. So again, first things you want to do is get if you have a site that you're looking at, get with, whether it's us or a different manufacturer, say, hey, this is the site I'm looking at. We'll be able to pull up that car count, start to do a basic pro forma and give you some of those basic numbers.
Okay, next question I can answer.
Yeah.
Chris is asking, will we be able to get a copy of this presentation? And just Chris, just so you know, all of our webinars are on our YouTube channel. This particular webinar will be on there by tomorrow morning. So if you just go to YouTube and search Petit Auto Wash, you should find our channel and it'll be listed there as the most recent ad. So you can even look at our other webinars that we've had so far this year. And then so I'll ask Jeremy this one, and this is from Chris also. Can you all recommend or provide a performa form?
Hi,
Jeremy,
Chris. Yep, I'm here. I was getting my mic turned on.
okay, sorry
But
about that. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. Yes, we do that for our clients that are interested in a Pettit machine. And so we're happy to take a look at a site with you. Feel free to reach out to us with the information for your location, and we'll be happy to go through a pro forma with you, and we can um, talk through some of those components I was discussing earlier.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And Anonymous writes, hello, can you share the address of the wash in Massachusetts you were speaking about, Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's Rojo Wash, and that's in Norwood, Massachusetts, 02062, and that's on 69 Providence Highway, Norwood, Massachusetts, 02062. And that's
Okay.
Rojo Car Wash.
All right,
And
very
he's
good.
got everything there: C-store, gas station, self-serves, tunnel, in-bay vacuums, the state inspections. He's got it all.
Okay, Scott, and I'll have you take the next one
Yeah,
also.
I saw that.
This is Eric, and he is looking to remodel an existing tunnel. It's in a town of 16,000 people with an AADT of about 13,000. Is it too risky to do a full rebuild with that low of traffic count?
So, Eric, I would always want to, get some more information, look at the site, where are highways, exit ramps, those kind of things. But just generally, based on what you're saying, I would not say at all. So you've already got an existing wash, you've got that existing legacy marketing, the building, all that kind of stuff is there. And if you remember when we were talking about before, the average daily traffic count, according to the Auto Laundry News survey that was recently done, the average daily count at a best site is 13,120. So you're right there at that traffic count for a very successful wash.
Okay, very good. And we've got a question from Hank Scott that says, what's the cost comparison between renovating a Walgreens-like building compared to building a brand new one?
So don't have the exact numbers, but a lot of what our customers are telling us, um, building on land is usually about half to two-thirds of the cost of, getting everything done. The equipment that goes in it is traditionally, maybe 30, 25, 30%. In most of these projects, the building, the moving of the dirt, the permitting, all that stuff is such a huge part of the cost. When you take an existing building like Walgreens, it's a good, strong building. It's already zoned, all the we got the utilities. You can have a lot of savings by using an existing building.
Okay, very good. And I did see somebody raise their hand, and I'm not seeing where to look at that at. Can you check that, Scott?
Yep, give me 1 second. I do see somebody raise their hand, but I'm not seeing whose it is.
Scott
It was
Robinson
me. I'm the
just
one that
raised.
raised my hand. I'm sorry, lower my hand.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
It was me. I'm good. It
No, we
was
had
me as
somebody
in
else
Scott.
earlier.
Yes, yes, sir. You're good.
I know we had somebody else earlier.
And Roger Ingram just popped in and said, "How do you determine if a membership is viable option for an MBA medic in a small rural town of 2,000?" Um, it population alone, I would tell you it's probably not super viable. But again, there's so many more contributing factors that go into that. Is there commercial retail? Is there plans for a big development allotment? Because sometimes these very rural communities have a lot of land, and eventually that land turns into 100 of Ryan homes or 200 of this homes there. So I would say, a rural town of 2,000, not knowing what your expectations are for this, I would not start with a membership program. I would see how it develops and then see if a membership program is right for you afterwards.
Okay. Do we have any other questions this afternoon? Alrighty, well, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. There again, we want to thank you. And also, Scott, do you want to describe what our December webinar is going to be about and give them a little bit of detail?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, in December, we're going to kind of expand on our previous maintenance webinar. So we're going to kind of really dive deep into some of the more in-depth electrical. We're going to talk about relays, normally open, normally closed, um, control powers, a lot of the more in-depth technical stuff, specifically around electrical maintenance, but we'll kind of tap on some other things. But mostly it's going to be electrical maintenance, controls, logic, stuff like that.
So check your social media for that invite. And we'll also, a few days before that, we'll be sending something out to for that, I believe. I don't have the date. Jeremy, do you have that date in front of you for that one?
I do not, unfortunately.
Okay, so apologies, but we'll get that out to everybody.
Real quick
Um,
before we wrap it up, Eric popped in with a question. Eric, if you'd go to petitautowash.com, there's a contact us form. That'll shoot it straight to the sales department, and Jeremy will reach out to you as soon as possible. So petitautowash.com and contact us, and we'll be able to reach out to you, Eric.
Yeah, and or if it's easier, anybody can always email sales1 using the numerical one at petitautowash.com. Ask any questions, ask for help on anything. Again, that's sales1 using the number one, numerical one at petitautowash.com, and that will get to our to anybody on our sales team, and we'll get right back to you.
Awesome. I very appreciate everybody's time, and thanks again, and we'll look forward to you at the next one.
Yep, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.